Let's look at this set. In an exam, the performance of each student who wrote the exam was evaluated independently by 4 professors, PQRS. Each professor gives a score from 0 to 100 to each student based on his evaluation of the performance of the student. So 4 teachers are giving a student marks out of 0 to 100. After each student receives a score from each professor, the average of the 4 scores given to him by the 4 professors, the minimum difference between any 2 scores given to him by the professors, and the maximum difference between any 2 scores given to him by the professor are calculated. So we have A, which is the average, X is the minimum difference between any 2 scores, Y is the maximum difference between any 2 scores. And the final score of the student is provided as A plus Y minus X. Okay. This is the final score the student gets. So we have this knowledge. Let's get to individual questions. If the final score of the student is 40, which is same as his average score. So we have been told A plus Y minus X is equal to A. Final score is 40, which is same as his average score. What is the maximum score given by the professor, given by any professor for the student? This tells us Y minus X is equal to 0, which is to say the minimum difference between any 2 scores given to him by the professor and the maximum difference given to him by the score for maximum difference between any 2 scores given to him by the professor are identical. Y is equal to X, and this is only possible if all the 4 scores obtained by him are identical. Look at this. For this student, his score will be A plus Y is going to be 0, X is going to be 0, and therefore the final score will be identical to the average score. So what is the maximum score given by any professor to the student? The answer itself is 40. Okay. Next bit. If the scores given by 3 of the 4 professors are 45, 49, 52, for each of the 2 students, Amar and Kiran, what is the minimum possible final score of any student? We have 45, we have 49, and we have 52. Now, the general trigger or the general tendency would be, if I'm looking for minimum possible score of any student, what I will do is, I will try to put in the 4th subject, let him get the minimum marks. That is the tendency. So, let us try finding out what the average here would be. One extreme is this way. So I have 45 plus 49, 94. 94 plus 52 is 146. So 146 by 4 plus the greatest difference between any 2 scores is 52. The minimum difference between any 2 scores is 52 minus 49, 3. So we end up with 36.5 plus 49, or a total of 85.5. This is what the general tendency would be. This is the default reaction, or at least for most people, this would be the default reaction. But once we have checked this extreme, can I also see the numbers obtained so far are 45, 49, and 52. Yet the final score obtained is 85.5, which is significantly large. What if we did not take this extreme? What if we took the other extreme, wherein it was 45, 49, 52, and 100. In the 4th subject, he ended up getting 100 because marks are given from 0 to 100. So in this case, what would we have is 246 by 4 plus the greatest difference between any 2 scores is 45 minus 100, which gives me 55, minus 52 minus 49, which is 3. Again, here we will get 46.5 plus 52. I hope 41.5. 41.5. But how is it 41.5? 1 minute. 61.5 plus 52, which is 113.5. This is the max case. 61.5 plus 52, 113.5. Again, this seems amazing. This seems amazing. So in the fourth subject, if he ends up getting 100, in the fourth subject, if he ends up getting a 0, we have those two extreme cases. Now see, logically, you have placed it at the left extreme. You have placed it at the right extreme. What if the score of the fourth subject was somewhere between 45 and 52? What if the fourth subject score was somewhere between 45 and 62? What if it was 45 and 46 and 49 and 52? This is also the third case that you should ideally be checking. So here, 46 plus 46. So here I will get 192 by 4 plus the greatest difference is 7 and the smallest difference is 1. And in this case, 192 by 4 is 48. 48 plus 6 is. Can you see wonderfully well? We are getting a very, very small number here. But this does not mean this is the exact case. The next check that we would have to do, is at 47. All the numbers in between. Go ahead and check them. 45, 47, 49, and 52. For this case, we would have 193 by 4 plus 7 minus 2. So I will have 193 by 4 is 48.25 plus 5 is 53.25. Okay. And then how about 45, 48, 49, and 52? In this case, we would have 194 by 4 plus 7 minus 1. And hopefully you can rule this out quickly because this is definitely more than 54. 192 by 4, 194 by 4. This is largest, 7 minus 1. 7 minus 1 is identical. So this is not the case. What if I put it at 49? The numerator will go up. And this right hand side expression, 7 minus 1 will turn to 7 minus 0. Again, not ideal. How about I put it at 50? This 1 would remain 1. This 7 would remain 7. And this summation will go up. Not great. If I put it at 51, if I put it at any other number, this is the case. This is the case where the summation is also minimum. And this expression, y minus x, is also minimum. So altogether, we get the answer to the second question as 53.25. Now I know this is a departure from our standard output wherein all the theta questions tend to have integral results. But for this question, the objective was for you to come up with an answer that was not integral in nature. So this is what you get. Now see, this is the brute force way of solving it, wherein you are trying every case and reach the answer. The other way of understanding or perhaps approaching this, I'm keeping this case here, 193 by 4 plus 7 minus 2 is equal to 53.25. This is the final case you want. Remember, the game was average plus y minus x. This is what the final score is going to be. Now, when we're taking 0, while we are negatively impacting the average, the y minus x part becomes insanely high because y becomes very high. Remember, we don't want our difference between the minimum score and the highest. We don't want our difference between the minimum score and the highest score to be very, very large. And therefore, putting down something like 0 is going to be a problem. Similarly, putting down something like 100 is going to be a problem because this y, hopefully you can see here the averages are jumping up because of this 55 and this 52. So putting down either of the extreme values, 0 or 100, is not going to be ideal. Putting down some number in between is going to be great. In fact, when you look at these three numbers, when you look at these three confirmed numbers that were given to us, as of now, y is 7 and x is 3. Our target would be, by introducing a new number, we don't increase this y at all. By introducing a new number, we don't increase this y at all, because increasing this y directly leads to an increase in the final score. So, if I have to introduce a new term, it should be somewhere between 45 and 52 only. It should not be away from, it should not be further away, because that would lead to, even if I went 44, that leads to a direct increase of 1 in the overall average. Okay. This is like the algebraic way of justifying it. For question 3, if the scores given by the three students of the four professors are 45, 49, 52 for each of the two students, Amar and Kiran, what is the maximum difference between the final scores of Amar and Kiran? Okay. Minimum score. If I want the maximum difference, I want one person to get the minimum score, one person to get the maximum score. For minimum score, we already have our calculation 53.25. Now for maximum score, remember, we would want our y to be as large as possible. That is where we would get a maximum final score. It would be at one of the two extremes. Here I am getting 113.5, here I am getting 85.5. So between the two of them, clearly, the bigger answer is 113.5. So the maximum possible difference between scores of Amar and Kiran is going to be this, which is equal to 60.25. This is it. And then next, what is the maximum final score that any candidate can receive? Again, because we are looking for a plus y minus x, I would want y minus x to be as large as possible. And y minus x can be largest possible if one of the totals was 100, another total was 100, this and one total was 0, and one total was 0. Can you see? The greatest difference between any two scores is already 100. The minimum difference between any two scores is already 0. So now, in order to bump up the average to the maximum level possible, I'll get another 100 involved. So I will have 300 by 4 plus 100 minus 0, or 75 plus 100, or 175. What is the maximum final score that any candidate can receive? It will be 175. And that is the entirety of this set. All this question demanded of us was understanding that, one, people can score higher than 100, and secondly, looking at all the extreme cases possible. That will be all.